Your desire for total and complete transformation is actually holding you back. And the reality is your desire for transformation is not the problem. But instead, when we get fixated on total, complete transformation, that's where the problems begin. Because if we're in a circumstance where the goal is total healing, the goal is to be totally pain-free, the goal is total transformation, then anything short of that to the subconscious mind is a failure. And this causes two major problems. The first problem is we don't recognize the progress that we are making. And so we are unaware of the change that's happening, so we can't appreciate it. Secondly, because we are failing, because it hasn't been total, then we're not motivated to keep moving forward because apparently the work that we are doing hasn't worked out. So today, as we continue the Healing and Transformational Fundamental series, we are going to look at a completely new paradigm for looking at how we evaluate transformation. And when we look through these eyes, not only does healing and transformation become easier, but we're going to stay motivated to keep doing the work. So not only do we have progress now, but we're going to continue that progress into the future. This is Monterastelli, and welcome to the Tapping Q&A podcast recorded live to tape from Williamsburg in Brooklyn. This is episode 576, originally aired September 13th, 2023. Hi, everyone. I hope this finds you well wherever you are and whatever time of day you're getting a chance to join me. Thanks for spending a little time with me. Today, we are continuing our series on healing and transformational fundamentals. And today, we're looking at part 12 of this amazing series on something that is called the 10% solution. The 10% solution, when I was introduced to it, completely transformed the way I thought about healing, not only for my own work, but the way that I work with clients. And I can't wait to share it with you today. Before we jump into that, as we move our way through this entire process, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating opportunities for transformation. But for me, the opportunity for transformation is not enough. I actually need good, useful tools for creating that transformation. My personal favorite tool for creating that transformation is something that is called tapping. If you are unfamiliar with tapping, all you need to do is follow the little red arrow in the upper right-hand corner. It will take you to learntotap.com. There you will learn the basics of tapping. So as we explore this series on how healing and transformation happens, you will have a tool at your disposal that will make it easy to execute all of those insights and information so you can create the transformation that you want. I can still remember when I learned the 10% solution, when I was introduced to it for the very first time. I was at the National Guild of Hypnotism's National Conference, and I'd gone to a workshop on pain management, which was being taught by a gentleman by the name of Dan Cleary. Dan, I am now one of his biggest fans. I love his disposition. I love the way that he thinks. I love how he approaches transformation. And I think the best way I could describe Dan is if you took Al Pacino and Yoda and merged them together, you would have this amazingly brilliant, funny, feisty person who just is making the world a better place with his teaching. And so Dan is in a circumstance where he experienced, because of a motorcycle accident, physical pain in his own life. And as I recall, as he was reporting, that is something that, because of the nature of the accident, it is something that he still experiences decades after that accident. And so for him, being in a situation of eliminating pain wasn't an option. Instead, he was in a circumstance where he was needing to manage the pain. And so that threw him into a life of working with people around pain management as a hypnotist. And again, as I recall from the training, and my memory could be off because it was more than a decade ago, the story that Dan told was that when a client would come into his office, and typically at that point, if you went to a hypnotist to deal with pain, you had spent multiple years in traditional Western medicine, and you were willing to try something that was outside of the box. And so they'd sit down across from him, and Dan would ask them to describe what they were experiencing, what they were going through, what the struggle was. And they would describe their pain, and he'd go, "Great. How would you feel at the end of 90 minutes of hypnosis you were pain-free?" And they'd be like, "Awesome, that would be great." And he's like, "Forget it, it's not going to happen." He said, "But instead, tell me how your life would be different if 50% of the pain went away." Then he'd say, "Tell me how your life would be different if 25% of the pain went away. Now, tell me how your life would be different if only 10% of that pain went away. And so let's pretend you're in a circumstance where you have a back injury. And because of the pain, you can't sit for a long period of time. And maybe a 10% reduction in that pain means that you are now in a situation where you can sit down for 2 hours. Now, all of a sudden, you can go to dinner with loved ones. You can go see a movie. Now, that is not being pain-free. That is not healing an injury. But by looking through the lens of what does a reduction of the thing I am struggling with impact me? Because the subconscious mind works in a way where we're working in an all or nothing situation. I'm either pain-free or I'm in pain. And like I said at the top, if we are evaluating our experience through am I pain-free or not, then we are consistently going to be disappointed. Because rarely are we in a circumstance where we create total transformation. The pain goes completely away. The fear completely goes away. My confidence is 100%. I take action with authority 100% of the time. But we can still have a better life, a more enjoyable life, a more authentic life if I'm doing things in less pain, or I'm doing things with more authenticity, more confidence, more. And you'll notice I didn't say total confidence. I'm not saying total self-love, but an improvement inside of that. And so when we start to look through this lens of how does my life change with only changing the circumstance by 10%, all of a sudden that becomes manageable. And when that happens, when I have an incremental change and I recognize my life is better because of that incremental change, then I am more encouraged to keep doing the work because I want to make another incremental change. I want to make another incremental change. And what that does is it creates momentum for us. So ultimately, it's doing two things. It's giving us the opportunity to more honestly assess what we are going through in this moment so we can appreciate it and realize that things are getting better. And two, it puts us into a position where as we continue to move forward, it creates that encouragement. So I keep doing the work. So now that we have this very, very simple concept, how do we implement it in our lives? Well, I think there's two really simple ways to do it. The first is exactly how I presented Dan talking to a client. When you are working on your own or you are helping someone else and they're wanting to have change, say, great, what does total change look like? And then ask the question, what does it look like if we only change this 50%? How does that make your life better? What would happen if we only changed this 25%? How would that make your life better? What would happen if we only changed it 10%? How would it make your life better? And just by asking those questions, we start to, even before we get to psychological resistance, even before we get to clearing emotional issues, just thinking strategically like that, it's going to immediately give you ideas of things that you can do. Because I'm not trying to solve the entire problem of what is in front of me, but instead I'm trying to solve this small bit of it because I know if I solve this small bit of it, my life gets better. The second thing, and this is where tapping comes in, is continuing to get ourselves emotionally comfortable and emotionally engaged with this idea that an incremental change is something that is super beneficial. And so this is exactly what it looks like when we have that small incremental change. And I'd encourage you to tap along with me. If you're new to tapping, not a big deal. Just mirror me and tap along with me and just move from point to point, repeating after me. I recognize the fact I want total transformation. I want total healing. I want pain to reduce. I want confidence to grow. I want my sense of authenticity to expand. And on a subconscious level, I know I approach transformation as something that is all or nothing. And I do want total transformation. But at the exact same time, my life can be significantly better if I grow my positive attributes like self-love, self-acceptance, confidence, and belief by only 10%. I know my life can be better if I reduce pain, fear, disappointment, frustration, anger, and overwhelm by only 10%. Because when I recognize these incremental changes, I'm seeing what is true. Because the incremental change is true. And it also keeps me motivated. It also keeps me on track. And when that happens, I'm more likely to engage. Accepting the 10% solution does not mean I'm only looking for 10% progress. It just means I can value 10% progress and make that the goal for now. Nice big deep breath. And for me, as I tap on something like that, even right now as I'm not tuning into a particular issue, I'm just feeling easier in my body because I'm recognizing what's in front of me. It's possible for me to make today a better day in simple, small, incremental ways. And so as we look at this 10% solution, it is two ways. One is we can be reducing the things that are distasteful: pain, overwhelm, sadness, structural incompetence, whatever it is in front of us. Reducing that by 10% can make things better. But the same is true. We can grow the assets that we want by 10%. Self-love, self-acceptance, confidence, belief, the number of people I have supporting me, whatever it is. I don't have to solve all the problem right now, but by adding 10% right now, it makes everything easier. And so that is part 12 of this series on healing and transformational fundamentals. If you haven't enjoyed the entire series yet, all you need to do is look on the screen. There's a little link right there that'll take you to the entire playlist of everything that we've recorded so far. There's going to be 20 of these in total. So depending on when you're listening to this, the entire list might be done. For Tapping Q&A, this is Monterastelli. Hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.